I did post finally. Took me a while, but my
Well, you had a
picture
busy day.
of my face, got the sign in the background. I didn't do peace sign though, just
No
normal.
peace sign. Well,
No.
I mean, what are we even doing if you're not going to do a peace sign?
I'll
It's
do it
like
when you do
I'm.
it, Jeff. I know you gotta do like the whole head tilt.
You have to do the whole thing.
Classic.
Come on, Twitch. There she is.
I need to decorate my space. Look, it looks so boring.
Well, or maybe you just don't look like a tryhard like me.
I miss my office. My office was very nice with my background and my lights and everything. But it's far away. And then I have to move all my stuff to go sit in there. And I'm lazy.
Look who's here. Hello, Crimsoon 001.
Hi! How's it going? There is like this line on my face and it's really annoying. Okay, there we go. You can't see it. Look at my dimples.
Look at them dimps.
Hi, Darwin. First time chat. Hi, what's up? First time chatter, long time caller, whatever.
Long time calling. like he keeps calling in and you refuse to respond.
That makes sense. I love
Yeah.
Frasier. I want to watch Frasier again. It's the best show ever. Okay,
Best show ever.
Lance, Mary, and I were having this conversation. Okay, what is the best comedy television show in your opinion?
Oh God, that's such a loaded question. I might say Scrubs.
Oh, okay.
I really loved Scrubs. It's
Yeah.
like it's much sillier than a lot of stuff, but also has some really like good heartfelt stuff.
Yeah.
And it, but only up until the first time it ended. When they did the like extra tack on season, that got really bad. So it's like, so I have to have that caveat, and that's kind of a cop out.
Yeah, but yeah, but
Yeah.
I feel, but unfortunately, that is just the way a lot of television goes. You know what I mean? I would say Frasier. It's not my favorite. It's not the best, but I don't remember ever getting to a point in Frasier where I was just like, okay, this needs to end.
Good
But
evening, Bitteray Will, and yes, Angry Jello. Scrubs for a lot of people did get old after like season 4. It definitely had a lull for me in the middle there, but then I got really into it again, uh, just in time for it to end. And then, like I said, they brought it back for another season at the med school, and that was not good.
do
You should
they?
let the past die. Kill it if you have to.
Yeah. Everybody was surprised by my answer. Can you guess what it is?
And it wasn't Frasier.
It was not Frasier. It wasn't Frasier.
Man, I don't know. Now I'm going to say something like ridiculous in the hopes that it's like really that surprising. Family Guy.
Oh my god, I hate
Yeah, I did.
Family.
I assume that's why I assume you hate Family Guys.
No, no, definitely. All right. Okay, so Angry Jello says Parks and Rec and The Office, both great candidates.
Yes.
But to me, the best comedy show, hands down, not even close, South Park.
Oh yeah, you know what? That's a good pick. I
Yeah,
really like that pick, and if you know what, I'm going to change my answer
yeah,
because
South Park.
I've loved every season of South Park, even when like the old stuff, even though it's a little more crass and all that stuff. Like that's fun in its own way, and then they got more intellectual in their humor, and that was cool too. I love
Yeah,
South Park.
I
Great
love
pick.
South Park. Yeah, everybody thought I
Angry
was.
Jello says can't be a cartoon though,
Says why? I said television
because
show.
that's true.
Comedic television show. There was no. Why the caveat of
But I'm
cartoon?
I'm also gonna second Parks and Rec as a really good option
Well,
because I did love that show all the way through, and it ended satisfactorily for me.
I did watch
Which is
all of
that's the
it.
toughest part is to end a comedy show in a way that doesn't suck. You know.
Unfortunately, I guess if we're not going cartoon is not included, my favorite human show did
Human
suffer.
show.
Whatever. It suffered from the last episode.
Seinfeld.
Seinfeld.
Yep.
Love every single fucking episode. Every single one of them. The last one really was just terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you're not wrong. But Always Sunny, good pick as well.
Yeah.
I've only seen through season 14 because that's all that's on Hulu.
I haven't seen. I stopped at some point, but I mean, like, is it still good? Like, are they still? I mean, I just assume at some point you can only get into so many ridiculous situations or only treat your friends so terribly. Like, but is it kind of like a messed up Seinfeld? You know?
I mean, it is kind of like a messed up Seinfeld, as if Seinfeld wasn't already pretty messed up.
That's
Like
why
they
I love
both
it.
those shows have in common is that the characters are all bad people.
Yes, I know. That's why it's hilarious because it's not. It's very subtle in Seinfeld. You're not
It's
obviously
not
supposed to
subtle
hate
in
them.
Always Sunny.
No.
But like honestly, that was the reason I didn't give Always Sunny a chance at first. Was because like it was always just yelling at each other, and they're all such terrible people, and I usually don't like that sort of stuff. Like I have a hard time playing video games where the main character that you're playing as is not a good person. I just have a hard time getting into that stuff. But I watched a video of like a behind the scenes of Always Sunny, and it turns out a lot of the stuff they're doing is improvised, and so I have like a ton of respect for them improvising that stuff. And like, how do you not break constantly and just break down laughing at the horrible, stupid stuff they're saying in that show? So I got mad respect for the Always Sunny crew.
I didn't know that, but that definitely makes it more. I mean, that kind of makes them more fucked up. That's the kind of shit that just like pops into their head when they're being like responded to in a
So, like
way.
they have like a script, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna say this, and then you say something.
Yeah.
And so like they have some bullet points. That way they actually do have a plot for the episode. But some of the crazy stuff they say in there is improvised on the spot, which is really cool.
Yeah. They're geniuses, that's for sure. I wish I was that cool.
The dream.
Never be that cool. Oh, I didn't know they did all kinds of behind the scenes stuff with that.
Yeah, just check it on YouTube. Lots of good blooper reels from Always Sunny, and it seriously made me appreciate the show, and I wasn't going to before. So, worth checking out.
Should we have a slightly controversial conversation right now?
I suppose we can.
But should we?
You're running the show. In fact, we should probably introduce the show at some point.
Oh, hey guys, welcome to If You Ask Me. I'm gonna stop doing it because it's just gonna get old.
It's so good.
Okay, I don't want it to get overuse it, but I'm trying. I've been practicing, but we're just gonna have I'm Butter, so I'm gonna have to wear like a Butters outfit and
just do your Professor Chaos.
What does he say?
I'm Professor Chaos.
I'm Professor Chaos. Yeah. Oh, yes, hi, Darwin.
It's Darwin's first time.
First time show. Well,
if you ask me.
If you ask me. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Joel. Joel.
And gave a gift to Rinsler Sin Zero, who watches regularly. So
yes.
Very cool.
Thanks,
it is
Tristan.
Jen does a solid Butters.
Because I am Butters.
She doesn't do a lot of great impressions, but her Butters pretty freaking good.
It's not an impression. That's just me, and it just so I should. If anything ever happens to the actor that plays Butters, they can call me up, and I got him. I got it already. Just waiting for that phone call.
Yes, this is If You Ask Me. Let's have that controversial conversation. What are we talking about?
Okay, so I read a couple days ago. I wasn't going to bring this up, but since we're talking about it, that people are really mad. I haven't seen it. Like we said, I'm very behind on It's Always Sunny. But apparently, Mac has officially come out as gay, and people are very upset by it. But they allude to that at the very beginning of the show for several. There are episodes specifically about him being gay. Like, in the closet, I guess. So, but I mean,
yeah, I got to that point in the show and I'm like, oh yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, right? So I don't know why people are all upset about it. They've been talking about it. It's like since the very beginning of the show. So I don't know. I guess maybe
Yeah,
that's not that controversial, but I don't understand why people are mad about it.
I definitely don't understand why people are mad about it, and especially since, like you said, to me it seemed like they were setting that up for a really long time.
Yeah.
See, yeah, Beta Ray Will, nah, he came out a year and a half ago. No one batted an eye.
I don't. I just recently was reading. Maybe it's a recent discovery of people, but I was reading this whole long, like
Like maybe
shit
they saw it,
post.
they saw the episode, and like, oh yeah, this is a funny joke, and they're like, wait, no, this is real, and it took them like a year to realize that this was this is real.
I don't know, man, but I love that show. It's funny, and I kind of want to see what their if that changed the group dynamic at all. If they're really doing anything with it. I haven't seen it in a while.
On Hulu, at least
On
through that episode.
Oh
Oh
yes,
yeah,
yeah,
Climate Troll, yeah, says kind of like how Rage Against the Machine fans realized the band was speaking against the machine. How did you
yeah,
not catch that?
yeah. I saw that too. Ugh, I don't know. I don't even know what to say. That's just yep. The internet, man.
I mean, maybe it's just because it's so much easier to find the lyrics these days.
No way. I remember. I that's what I used to live for. Middle school. Google all. I was. Did you use Google or Bing or Ask Jeeves? At,
Netscape Navigator, I think was.
I was always looking up song lyrics. I had my AOL Instant Messenger. They were always really emo song lyrics. So, yeah. Rage is now for the machine. I don't. Did they do something recently?
I forget his name. The bass player was still doing music recently.
But the
Like
band's
like
still
he,
not, right?
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not not a super fan, so I don't know. I don't keep up with news.
Yeah. Well, so what are we talking about today, Jen? Should we dive into our first topic?
Let's start it up. Start it up.
All
Boys, all
right.
right, here we go. Ready? Watch this. Okay, so the first thing we're talking about, Jeff and I both watched the first 6 episodes of Arcane. Oh, wow. Ooh, new show on Netflix based off of the game League of Legends. Um, you're the synopsis guy. Go ahead, Jeff.
Well, I don't want to give away too much. So the brief synopsis for Arcane. Uh, a girl and her little sister become orphaned during some sort of revolt against the the powers that be, right? And they get taken in by this revolutionary and raised by him, and he sends them on like jobs to like steal stuff from the rich part of town. The upper it's the two different levels. Like there's an upper level that's on the actual surface of the planet, and then they all live underground. And so they go out and do these jobs, and then they decide one day they're going to do a job for themselves to prove that they can do this stuff on their own. And of course, something goes horribly wrong, and they accidentally blow up a building, and they're going to get into a whole bunch of trouble. So the surface comes down to tell them, "Hey, you got to give us someone, because otherwise there's going to be real hell to pay, and we got to have a scapegoat." And that ends up setting up all the tension for the first 3 episodes. And I'm not going to get into the actual spoilers for what happens at the end of those three, but some stuff happens and completely changes the dynamic of the show. And I'm sure for League of Legends fans, they were like, "Yeah, oh man, that's so cool. That's exactly what I was hoping it would be." What do you
Well,
think, Jen?
as a non League of Legends, you're the non League of Legends fan, so I really want to
I have
hear.
played one game,
I want to
and it was
hear how somebody that doesn't know about the lore of the game or the characters or anything. How did you feel about it?
so I thought it was a pretty good show. There were definitely some things where I'm like, I could tell that this was someone I would appreciate more if I had if I had played League of Legends more. But from my understanding, the game has a few cutscenes, but like most of the lore is stuff that you read like about the characters, like character selection screens and stuff like that. And there's
Yeah.
really not a whole lot of actual story in League of Legends.
Yeah,
And
it's definitely text-based lore. They do have like some cinematics. A couple of characters have like little intro videos. Like Jin, it's my favorite. Jin's like intro video is like his whatever, so good, awesome. He's one of my favorite characters because of that. So the stuff that they do with cinematics really does like Jinx has some great cinematics. I don't know if you
yeah,
watched any of those, but that's I have played League since release. I haven't played it in a long time. I'm really bad at it, but I used to play it all the time. But I'm not like a lore nerd. I don't know. I know some of the general places and some of the characters and how they're related, but I don't deep dive into Two Otters. There you go. That's me. Two Otters. That's how you say it.
that's how you say
That's
it.
how you say it. Anyways, so, but I actually, okay, I thought it was incredible. Like, I'm not just like, wow, that was really good. 9.8 out of 10
For you, that's
for
your score.
me. 9.8 out of 10.
Wow.
The only reason why we're counting off that 0.2 points is because I fucking hate Imagine Dragons and I hate that song, which is fine. You can skip it in the intro, but then they play it in an episode and it's
One
like
episode.
it's the worst. It's terrible. It's the worst song, and it really made me angry having to listen to it during that particular section of the episode it was in. But the
So like I like some Imagine Dragons songs and others I absolutely hate. So like I can understand how, and especially this one, I did not like this song.
it's terrible.
And at first I was listening to it, I was like, "Is this Imagine Dragons? Maybe I'll like this." Oh no, no! This is a bad theme.
Yes.
It's very repetitive and it's an earworm in the worst way. Like it's like when a bad song gets in your head and won't leave. I've been hearing it for days.
It's the worst song. Like it's I don't like Imagine Dragons, but it's literally a terrible song. Like Jeff is definitely he likes way more music than I do.
Like more
And
variety of
more
music.
variety. Yeah, obviously he has good taste, but I mean, even for somebody like Jeff that always tries to be positive, says it's also horrible. We're not talking about bad. We're talking
No,
about
it's
like
bad. It's real
horrible.
bad.
It's real bad. It's horrible. So the fact that it's in an episode and it's just ugh. Anyway,
That
but
being said, some of the other songs that they have in the show are pretty good, and I actually enjoy the music in the show quite a lot.
have you
But
listened to any of the KDA stuff or anything?
nope.
So Riot is really big on doing music with their cinematics and things like that. They actually created KDA, which some of the characters, it's like a J-pop band that some of the
Oh, okay.
characters in. So they do like music videos, but they have like songs that are written specifically for the characters in the cinematics. They have like a metal band, a Mordekaiser and Sona are in it. I can't remember the name of them, but they have like a metal band that they did that same thing with. So they're really big on music, which I think is really cool. They the At first I didn't really like the graphics that much because it seemed like a little too cartoony. But the Yordles, which that's Heimerdinger,
Heimerdinger, yeah.
yeah, he looks so cute, and if they would have made it realistic, he would have looked so creepy. So I accept the art style.
So I'm glad we mentioned Heimerdinger here because this is one of those things where I felt like if I knew more about League of Legends lore, this would not be so weird to me. But like they don't really tell you anything about why there's this tiny little furry man and he's clearly a different race and and he's lived for 1,000 years or some odd like crazy long time and like they just brush right past it and I'm like, no, you guys got to explain this to me. Who the hell
But
is Heimerdinger?
but I like that though. I do like in the show there's not like hand holding. They're not like literally explaining every single backstory, every single thing. But it's not necessary. You're not like
That's
confused
true.
about Heimerdinger. You're interested, which is why that's good. They're doing really good. Apparently tons of people are starting to play League now that they've watched the show and they're wanting to play Jace, which Evan says is like one of the hardest champions to play. So his win rate is like tanking right now because all these new people that have never played before really want to play
Jumping in trying to
Jace.
play Jace.
Yeah, so I think that's
Well,
hilarious.
so I've heard that Riot has been working on an MMO for some time as well,
Yes,
and
yes.
so I'm kind of like I had the thought, do I want to try League of Legends just because I like these characters and they have really cool character designs. And after I finished watching the episodes, that we were going to watch for the show, I went and looked up the champions for League of Legends to see like, are there any other characters that that might be champions in the game, and so I was looking at a lot of really really cool character designs, and I was thought about it, and I'm like, no, no, I'm not going to play League of Legends. I know I'm bad at that kind of game. Like,
You wouldn't like it.
I'm not even good at the Pokemon MOBA.
People would flame you so hard. People are not nice
We
on
played
that
one
game.
game, and my buddy Evan, uh, who doesn't have the most patience for bad League of Legends players in the first place, but he really tried to be patient with me, and God bless him.
No,
All his tips did nothing. I was so bad, and so I'm
yeah.
definitely not going to play that. But MMO comes out,
I'm gonna be
maybe
playing that for sure. I'm definitely gonna be playing that. They put a
Climate
lot of.
Troll.
Oh,
Oh, go
sorry.
ahead.
Like Riot is such a like an amazing company with the products that they put out. Their card game, I started playing Runeterra, which is it's similar to Magic and Hearthstone. And then Evan's been playing Valorant, which like Counter Strike, and so that a lot of companies are accusing them of like ripping off their games and just making their own, but they're doing a great job at it. They're all like really awesome, interesting, great graphics, great music, great characters. So they're not just taking people's ideas and shitting on them. At least they're doing really good improvements. So I'm very interested to see what they do with an MMO.
Oh yeah, Climate Troll does ask. Didn't Blizzard CEO step down recently or something? Activision, Activision Blizzard, their CEO did has been asked to resign. I haven't heard if he's actually resigned yet, but that's as a result of all the sexual misconduct accusations and things in the company. So yeah, he's on his way out.
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah. So I like seriously the news on that front has been like, okay, let's just sell off the IPs and start over. Let's new company, new people. Let's just start from the ground up.
Are people still boycotting Blizzard stuff?
I think there's probably fewer people boycotting it. Even that's the way that always works, is that people start to go back. But I haven't played Overwatch since that news came out, and I don't know if I'm still boycotting it because of that, or if I'm just not playing a lot of video games right now. But I haven't gone back to it.
I haven't. I played that maybe 20 games like 4 years ago, and that's about it. Not really into shooters. I'm pretty bad at them, so
They have good character design.
they do have good character design, but not many characters. So I get kind of bored playing the same thing over. That's what League has, so many characters.
Well, and I think that's what makes it even more daunting for me to want to jump in, even after watching Arcane and loving the show. Is that I know that there's like 100+ champions in League of Legends, and that just seems pretty daunting to like try to find one that I actually want to play as.
They've made them a lot harder too. Like they're I don't do any champions still have click on abilities, or did they change everything? No, Annie's they lots of characters used to have click on abilities, but they changed a lot of them to skill shots to make the game harder because people that are really really good would play these easy champions and then just destroy because they understood
Right.
all the mechanics and everything of the game. So they have been changing a lot of characters to be more difficult, but Teemo. Just play some Teemo, Jeff. You can play Teemo with me. He's the best. He's a little Yordle. I hope he's in Arcane. He's so cute.
That's what
Actually,
I was actually going to ask. Like, what were there any characters that you were sad that you haven't seen yet, or do we want to avoid talking about that too much?
well, I'm annoyed with Lance more because he's a big theory crafter. So him and Evan have been going on with, do you think this is this character? Oh, do you think this is this character? Oh, I bet that's this character. And so like I'm just like, shut up, just let me enjoy the show. So they're thinking this guy could be this character. Oh, maybe this, and I'm just like, I don't want to know. So
And see, and that was something that I was thinking while watching. It was like, oh, some of these characters have so much like design to them, like they're that I think like they must be characters from the game. But then when I went and looked up the name of all the champions and I didn't see those characters on there, I'm like, well, yes, I was wrong. But then there are ones that I'm like, oh yeah, that is gonna be that character, and I
yeah,
can't wait to see how they get to that.
yeah, yeah. So see, you don't even know the game, and you're still curious about
Oh
who
yeah,
and
the
what is
show has
going on.
definitely made me really curious,
Yeah.
and the characters are all really interesting and pretty well fleshed out considering the high number of characters in the show. And they get you attached to some characters, and then they pull your heartstrings with those. I mean, like
But
right now,
it's not
I'm
fake. It's not it's like actual genuine well thought out plot device. It's not it's my complaint about a whole bunch of other bullshit like relationships and only having relationships purposely to destroy them to like have drama in the show. Like everything actually makes sense in the show, which is so awesome. I don't have any complaints about, oh, I can't believe they did this just for the
you
sake
have
of the
no
plot.
complaints other than Imagine Dragons.
I'm serious. It's just that terrible. It's so bad. But really, the combat is amazing. All the fight sequences, so cool. I love what they did with Jinx, the way they show her disjointed personality. They did such a good job with that.
Really cool visual effects every time they show her having like a little episode. It's
So cool.
really cool.
Yeah.
And I just want to point out, IMDb, the show has 28,000 reviews on it, and it's currently sitting at a 9.4 out of 10. That's a lot of really good reviews, and
Yeah.
especially for a show based on a video game. Let's be real, most movies and TV shows that get made based on video games suck. Like most of them are not very good, and even more so, they're likely to get review bombed upon release. And somehow this show has not suffered from that so far. So, kudos.
That's a really good point that it's, based off a video game and most things they don't go very well. But also there it is like such a fleshed out story that people that don't know what it is still think it's amazing. So they're doing a really really good job bringing in new people, not just catering. See, you can do both. You can do
Yeah,
both.
it's definitely possible.
Yeah. Ugh,
And there's 3 more episodes, and they come out this Friday, correct?
I don't know.
November
Friday or
20th.
Saturday, I think.
It comes out November 20th. I know that much. So, so
It's
if
Friday.
you haven't
No,
watched
Saturday.
the show yet, the episodes are like 30 to 45 minutes for the most part. So, it's not too late. You can start watching it and be caught up in time for the new episodes for when this ends. What I'm curious to see is this going to be an ongoing series, or are we looking at one season? I haven't looked into it too much yet, so I'm just looking forward to seeing these last 3 episodes and see where's this going to go. Am I going to get sucked into League of Legends lore, or am I just going to be really satisfied with a mini series here? We'll see.
I think a pen and paper game would be awesome with League lore.
I think that about a lot of properties, and then I'm like, well, that the amount of work that would go into writing one for the very few people who would end up buying it, I can see why that doesn't happen.
Dude, Riot is huge. You haven't played. I have their board game.
No, we played that.
Oh,
In
did we
fact,
play that?
the most of the League of Legends stuff I knew going into the show was from playing that board game twice.
Oh, really? I think Heimerdinger is in the game.
Heimerdinger's one of the playable
Yeah,
characters.
yeah. I have mechs and minions. There you go. Yeah, that's a great game. We never finished it. We should finish that game.
I'd be up for that.
Yeah. Anyways, love. I'm not a Riot fanboy, okay? I can admit whenever they do some stuff I don't like, but they've got a great product, like through and through. They're very smart and they write good stuff. I don't know what to tell you. Big fan. 9.8 for Arcane. What about you, Jeff?
I'm gonna give it so far a 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. All right. That's good.
Really, really good.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Highly suggested.
How many points did that Imagine Dragons song drop it down for you?
I did not drop any points for the Imagine Dragon song because Netflix is so good about offering you the skip intro.
It's in the episode. You can't skip it. It's in. the
But at least
episode.
when it's in the episode, there's other stuff happening on screen to distract you, you know, from the bad song.
Oh, that's horrible. Bad decision.
But Jen, if you ask me, I think we should move on to another topic.
All right. Well, the next thing that we're talking about is the comic book we both read this week. Dark Phoenix Saga. Whoa, crazy face. What year did this come out?
I have that here. 1 second. Came out in 1979. Was the first issue, and it
1979.
ended in 1980.
Wow.
Uh, I'm sorry if you can hear Mando whimpering. He's really ticked off that I'm not paying more attention to him. That's my dog, Mando. But yeah, and I have to do this because our buddy Adam Lawson.
I
This is what
didn't
he would
bring
do.
mine. Oh,
He would do this.
we'll pretend like it's here. Flip through the pages. Show us some pages. Oh, wow. Look at that
Wow,
art.
no.
Look at that art.
My camera would have trouble focusing on it. But yeah, so let's dive into the Dark Phoenix Saga. Jen, why did you want to talk about this particular set of X-Men comics?
Well, I was reading it anyways. So I was researching for my latest cosplay, which I have a picture of it right here. You can see it.
Now, this is why people tune in to JVD.
Yeah, look at those boobs. They look great. So this is my Victorian Dark Phoenix that I just finished. Like I said, I just started reading the book again. I read it like a really long time ago. So I knew I loved the character, and I just wanted to get some like pose and reference and like facial expression like ideas. So there it is. There it is.
Looks great.
Thanks. Try to do crazy
honestly, I
face.
think the best thing about it is actually your eyes in these pictures. It really does capture the manicness of Dark Phoenix.
I know.
Really nailed it. You did a great job.
Thank you. That was a lot of work. Photoshopping those fucking eyeballs was hard. You had to make sure you didn't go all googly eye or anything, and you had to get. Anyways, it was awesome. It took a lot of work, but it definitely made the picture. So thank you for appreciating it. I definitely love how it gave that exactly what you said, that manic look to her. So that's exciting.
Yeah, so you were reading it anyways, and so that's why you proposed it. And I hadn't ever actually read it. Obviously, most comic book fans are at least a little familiar with the Dark Phoenix storyline because they've done it in movies twice now,
and not well either time.
Yeah, and it's been in TV shows, and they as I'm reading through it, I'm like, oh, I remember when they did this exact scene in one of the movies, and I was like, okay. So sometimes I was like, yeah, all right, movie, you did all right, and then other ways I was like, no, movie, what are you doing?
Did it make you enjoy the movie less, or do you still like it the same?
I haven't gone back to rewatch the movies that they did this storyline for, but they're both among the worst X-Men movies. And I don't know when the last time you did an X-Men rewatch was, but they're all worse than you remember. So even the best ones.
I watched First Class for the first time like a couple months ago. I will say it.
I love First Class and I love Logan. And those are fantastic. And even Days of Future Past, there's some things I really like about it. But the original 3 X-Men movies have not aged well, and the Wolverine Origins, or X-Men Origins Wolverine movie, is among my least favorite superhero movies of all time. So none of them have held up particularly well, but who knows? Maybe I'll next time I rewatch these, because I will end up rewatching the X-Men movies whenever the X-Men first appear in the MCU. I'll be like, okay, let's go back and watch all the old X-Men movies and compare.
Oh, is that going to be?
My brain works.
Is that going to be related?
I don't think. I don't. Well, who knows? Because there's a very real chance that Deadpool has been so successful with the Fox Deadpool has been so successful that Disney, who now owns the rights again for Deadpool, Marvel got the rights back for the Deadpool movies. They're making Deadpool 3, and it's still Ryan Reynolds, and it's still going to be the same Deadpool. So now, does that mean that they're continuing the Fox X-Men storyline just for Deadpool, or is Deadpool going to somehow end up in the MCU? I'm looking forward to finding out. But there's a personally, I hope that they kind of do another fresh start for the X-Men, except for Deadpool. And I want Deadpool to be the only person in the MCU who knows that he's been in multiple movie franchises.
That sounds like something that would happen to Deadpool, so that makes sense. I was thinking, I did want to say one more thing about Arcane.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's not funny. It's not funny. There's no fucking like plucky sidekick trying to make you laugh the whole fucking time. Like, there are some funny moments, but nothing that's like overly, this guy's funny all the time. He's so witty and makes all these jokes. Like, nope, I call it the plucky sidekick. There's none of that. It's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
I hadn't really thought about that.
I know. That's why it's so good. It's not funny.
And me talking about the MCU is what prompted that thought again.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to like throw it off the rails, but yes, that's exactly what I was going with. So,
yeah. So, what do? Yes, claimed again, and hopefully he mentions Hugh Jackman. Yeah, if Deadpool mentions Hugh Jackman in the MCU, that would be. I'd like them to continue that running gag as well, for sure. But in the comic,
I don't know what that is.
You haven't seen the Deadpool movies?
I saw the first one. I didn't see the other one.
So you just don't remember it then?
Oh no, I definitely don't remember.
I have not seen his and The Rock's new movie, but with The Rock making so many movies, like, which movie are we talking about at this point?
Didn't he just make like a Netflix movie, right? They just released.
Is that might be the one that Angry Jello's talking about?
Oh yes, Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds. Yes, it's on Netflix. Yeah. I don't know.
No, I have not seen that one yet. It was typical Ryan Reynolds movie. Yeah, that's his bread and butter.
No, Ryan Reynolds.
Honestly, if you can make a career making 6 out of 10 movies, you're gonna have a lengthy career in Hollywood for sure.
Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
I am over Ryan Reynolds. I will never forgive him for Free Guy. So I'm not.
Oh, you really hated that.
Oh my god! Like, if Arcane is like a 9.8, Free Guy is like a 1. It's really the worst movie I have ever had to endure.
That is saying something, because we watched the first 15 minutes of Basketball Diaries and turned it off. So...
Well, if it wasn't for the Pop XP, I wouldn't have been watching that fucking movie. It was horrible, and I paid for it. I had to go see it in theaters, so I guess I could have walked out, but I'm getting my $10 worth.
We're talking about Dark Phoenix.
Yeah.
So this was my first time reading it, and I've read a lot of comics, and I've read a lot of older comics, and every time I go back to these older books, I am just like, it's really a slog at first for me, because I don't like the way they write. The characters are very wordy, and they talk like a 1920s radio show. Does that make sense?
Yeah, there's definitely an aesthetic to that time period of comics, for sure.
I love the artwork in it, though.
Really?
I do. It's a nostalgic thing, I think.
But you don't. The dialogue is not nostalgic to you, but the art.
Well, no, because I didn't. Obviously, I didn't read. I wasn't a big comic book reader as a kid. I didn't start reading comics actually until after I met you.
Oh.
And then I went back and, well, I shouldn't say it. I read some comics in like 2005. But then when the New 52 launched, we went and I got really into New 52, and then I got really into Marvel, and I went back and reread stuff I'd missed, and like spent way too much money on comic books in the last decade. But yeah, so I do like the art style because it looks like an old newspaper. Like, if you ever read the Spider-Man comic have you ever read the Spider-Man comic in the newspaper?
I didn't know that was such a thing.
Yeah, it's not good. But but the artwork in it is still very much like this. This is, to me, it looks like it was, I know that it wasn't, but it looks like it could have been printed on newspaper. and for some reason I like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
don't like the artwork?
I appreciate it, but if you were to show me like a modern day comic drawn in that way, I would have been like, I don't, no thanks. It's not my favorite. Like I said, I appreciate it for what it is for sure, but you know, it's not my preferred thing.
One thing, like, just to really like that drives it home that like how different it is when you look at the cover. This is what Phoenix
Hold
looks
on.
like.
Hold on. That's why I pulled up the old one, the
Okay, you do
original
have the
version.
old one.
I have the
Yeah, so now
original
show that
version.
one.
Yeah.
And you can see like how different it looks, even though it's like the exact same image just replicated. But the lighting is completely different, the shading is completely different, and yeah, comics have gotten better since 1979. Like, it's a fact. They're better.
Well, but we're talking
They're
about the
better.
story. What about the
I was
story?
gonna say better art. The art is better
The art
today.
is better. Yeah.
The story is really good once you get past how stilted the dialogue feels at times for me.
I like it. You know, we were reading Spawn. I did have that huge complaint that the dialogue was just so overbearing. But like the art was overbearing as well, so it was just like so much on top of so much. And I didn't particularly like I don't feel like the extra dialogue added to the story at all in Spawn. But this, I think a lot of their dialogue is internal, so it's like all their thought bubbles as they're like processing the situation, which I feel like is not a normal, like realistic kind of thing. But you can't, I don't feel like a lot of what they are communicating in their heads in the dialogue is easy to portray in the art. So
Okay,
you
so
really,
I'm glad you mentioned that because I was thinking about that and how we've talked about this a little bit before. I think that in today's comics you don't see thought bubbles. Thought
yeah.
bubbles just don't exist in comics anymore. But I don't feel like I've been missing them.
Really?
So yeah, so like when I was reading it, like I don't mind the thought bubbles, and in some cases I did feel like okay, yeah, you couldn't really express all that with a look, but I don't know. Maybe again, maybe it's just the quality of the artwork is so much better that faces are more expressive today, and maybe I don't know. But I don't know. I could take or leave the thought bubbles. Like sometimes it was good, and other times I'm like, okay, this guy's having an awful long thought that if this was taking place in real time, it'd be like, hey, I'm right here, talk to me.
Yeah, no, I did mention that it's not realistic, but I actually do like the extra thought because I feel like it definitely I guess I never really thought of Professor Xavier being a total fucking asshole,
He
but
is in
but
this.
he
He's
is.
such an
He's
ass.
I know he's a total asshole, but that's what's cool about you get a whole new layer to characters that you never would have gotten before if not for those thought bubbles and that
That's
extra
true.
dialogue. So it,
Although Professor Xavier also says stuff out loud in this that I'm like, dude, quit being a dick.
yeah, he's a super dick. Super dick. It's funny.
It's like I had been grooming Scott to be the leader of the X-Men, but I didn't realize what a screw up he was going to be.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
take it easy,
Yeah,
Professor.
and he's really not doing anything. It's not like he's really fucking up that bad or whatever. So
Certainly no worse than Xavier does on a regular basis.
yeah, I thought that was hilarious.
The other
But
thing I noticed just from like a writing perspective is the characters. I feel like they refer to each other by name way more often than they do in modern comics. Like if the same characters were having a conversation, it wouldn't be like blah 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 Angel, and then blah 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 Jean, blah 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 Cyclops. And like everything ends like with them telling you who is being talked to. Did you notice that?
um, I guess I can't say I didn't notice it because I noticed there are a lot of like Psych, for Cyclops and
Yeah,
Shorty for Wolverine or whatever. But I think first of all that adds a lot of personality to the characters for them to all have like different nicknames for each other.
that's true.
And I don't I don't read a lot of group comic books. So if you had like six people just like talking and there's just like these bubbles, but there's like six people standing there and the bubbles are only so big, like it might be hard to
Well,
discern the conversation if there's not
so I think
names.
that's something that they've learned with modern comics is that in order to have a more normal sounding dialogue, instead of ending each sentence telling you who that is being directed towards, they change the color of the speech bubble to correspond to the colors of the character who is speaking it.
Oh right, I don't
So
think I've ever noticed that.
so you'll see like Captain America is thought, his speech bubbles are in blue, and Iron Man's speech bubbles are in red, and so that when they're talking, you always know who's the one saying that, whether they conclude the sentence with saying "I'm Iron Man."
But how do you know who they're talking to? If there's a group of 6 people, how do you know who they're talking to if they don't mention their names?
Usually because the next thought bubble, the next speech bubble is the person they were talking to.
Mm.
So like because they're having a conversation, you can kind of see that. I don't know. Again, it didn't like take away from the book for me. It's just something I noticed, and I realized that's something that I think is changed over time is in the way that they write dialogue between characters, especially in books with a lot of groups, large groups, having extensive conversations.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I'm not. I was definitely. It took me a long time to read that trade because there is so much dialogue. So, I mean, I totally understand where you're coming from, but to me, I did like it. I think it added a lot to the characters, and maybe not necessarily. Well, I don't know. I feel like you definitely got more in depth of the story because you're getting more in depth of the character. So, I liked it. I can see why you would be kind of off put, especially if you're more used to like modern comics and stuff. But I really liked the amount of dialogue.
And the story on the whole, like you already talked about it, the story's pretty good.
It's
You know,
amazing. I'm a huge Jean Grey fan though, and so I love just seeing all the different facets of her personality all in like one book. She's such a complicated character, so it's cool, especially though I reading this, they keep referencing when she became Phoenix,
mm-hmm.
and I really want to read like that because that was a huge follow up to like what's going on with the Dark Phoenix saga. So I do feel like I missed out that I didn't read even earlier than Dark Phoenix to really get more of the backstory.
I agree with that completely.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that I wish that we had seen. More of that. Like maybe if they'd done some flashback stuff.
No, but they didn't, and I loved it. I don't want your fucking flashbacks, you know? I love they made a little annotation, but just think how much longer the book would have been if they were constantly giving you refreshers on stuff that happened in every single issue that they mentioned, like throughout the whole story. That talking about, being long-winded, that would have made it way,
That's true
especially
because
if
they annotate a lot.
yes, they do annotate a lot. So I don't know. I guess I had a great week, I really loved it. I think it's great. It's been a while since I read it, and reading it again, I love the story. I love Jean Grey. I love they show her as the Black Queen and how that became. I love her internal. She's a sweet innocent girl, but then she has some of these naughty thoughts, and she's like,
Yeah.
"Oh my goodness, I cannot believe this." I love it. Love her so much. I think it's great. So,
I loved this because I'm a sucker for first appearances,
oh,
and
Dazzler.
you get the first appearance of Dazzler's in here. First appearance of Kitty Pryde is in
Mm-hmm.
here. So like I love seeing like characters that I've seen in later books or in movies and stuff, and I love going back and seeing their origin moment. And so I got 2 of that in this relatively short period of time in the X-Men here. So that was pretty cool. And uh, also, I just like the scale of it. It starts off very personal, and then the stakes grow and grow throughout the entire arc. And there are some moments that I felt were a little rushed, but I don't necessarily know if that was so much like the fault of writers or anything, or if it was more just that they needed to fit this into the issue, right? Like they maybe some stuff like for instance, there's one moment where it's like Jean and Cyclops are fighting against the people, and then the very next one, it's like, oh no, they're defeated. Like the next frame, and you don't
Yeah.
see any of that happen. And so I felt like maybe that's a little rushed, but then I also thought like, no, but like they're trying to squeeze this into an issue, and so there's going to be some stuff that probably ends up on the cutting room floor you know, even in comics, that like, okay, we can't show everything that happens because we can't fit it. But that only happened a couple of times, and so overall, I really liked the story and uh, enjoyed the characterizations.
I can say I agree with that. I think with how all powerful and amazing Dark Phoenix is, they did defeat her in like an hour or something, you know. So I do love the scale of it. I love the character. I love everything about it. But yeah, they defeated her pretty quickly, so that's fine. But I didn't need a 10 issue saga about her getting away and escaping and then getting captured and like, it was fine.
Yeah, I really don't think it needed much more. If
Yeah.
it had a little bit more, I think it could have been a near perfect, story arc. As it is still, really, really good. Uh, Especially when you consider that I'm looking through it with the lens of someone who's really only read comics in the last 10 years, other than going back to read specific story arcs like this. So, like, I'm looking at it from a modern view, and I'm like, this still holds up really well.
Yeah, it still holds up for sure. I love it. All right, Jeff, I'm asking you, what are you going to give it? What are you rating the Dark Phoenix saga?
If you ask me what my score would be, and you just did,
I did.
so my score is going to be 8.5 out of 10.
Damn, Jeff. I'm going all in. I'm giving it a 9. How am I giving things higher than you today? What is
I have
going
no idea.
on? 9. I'm getting a solid 9. I mean, I have
I'm,
very little complaints about it. I think it's fantastic. I love, but also I will say I'm a huge Jean Grey fan. So maybe if this book had been about, they just write her so well. She's such a dynamic character. I love her so much. So maybe I'm a little biased. One of the best stories about one of my favorite characters, but love it. I gave it a 9. I can't believe you only gave it an 8.5.
half a point. Like, we're so close.
It's great.
Yeah, really, really good. I'm
Yeah.
glad that you wanted to read it because I needed to, and now I have.
Yeah. Well, now we're gonna have to do the pre Dark Phoenix saga. We'll have to do like the Phoenix saga
The
next.
Phoenix
The
Saga.
Phoenix saga.
Well, the next thing that we were going to talk about today is a movie that I watched and that Jen has not.
I have not seen this, guys, but I'm going to ask Jeff. Jeff, what did you think about Eternals?
So I love the MCU.
He
Uh,
does. He loves it.
so I really do, and I know that Jen does not, which is why I'm not at all surprised that she didn't want to go out to see the Eternals. But there's this seems like a movie that like the fan base is kind of divided on. Like, first of all, it's got the lowest Rotten Tomato score of any MCU movie to date,
Oh,
which is
really?
crazy to me. And that may have changed since the opening weekend, but it was, some people absolutely hated it, and then I know other people who are like, "This is a 10 out of 10. This is the best MCU movie," and I'm like, "Pump the brakes here, guys. This is not the best MCU movie, and not even close. It's not even close to the best MCU movie. But it is very different from other MCU movies, though, in ways that, like, if you are a movie fan, you'll pick up on these things, and most particularly in the way that it's lit and the way that it's shot is much more, stylistic, much more like Chloe Zhao's style. That's the director of the movie. She did Nomadland, which was, one of the Oscar nominated films of last year, and you can see a lot of her style from that movie. You can see it in this movie, which you don't usually get with MCU movies. It's really, they really try to homogenize the MCU so that it all looks the same and sounds the same and is lit the same, and because they want that consistency. But in this most recent phase and with the TV shows that they've been doing, I feel like they finally started giving the directors a little more flexibility on their own vision for these movies, and this one I think benefits greatly from that because the story is fine. It's not really anything new, and the bad guys suffer from a lot of the same problems that other MCU movie bad guys do, and that, like, they're just not that interesting. And they're like, kind of like mindless, you know, creatures. And so you don't really develop any sort of feelings about the bad guys uh, until towards the end of the movie. But this movie is an ensemble movie, kind of like Avengers, only without the setup of previous movies. So Jen, you got all the way up through Avengers in watching the MCU, right?
Yeah.
And you enjoyed them. They're not your favorite though, right? For the first phase.
I loved Captain America. I loved Iron Man. Um, what other ones are in first
Or
phase? I remember I watched Thor and I don't remember hating it. Everybody says it's so horrible, but I don't remember being like, wow, that was the fucking worst movie I've ever seen. So I don't I need maybe I need to watch it again, see if it's just as horrible.
I like Thor 1. Thor 2 is my least favorite MCU movie.
Oh really?
I still enjoy it because I like this kind of movie, but it's definitely the worst of the bunch from my perspective. But yeah, so like Avengers, when you get there, Avengers works because you've had time to grow attached to these characters in all of their own individual setup movies. So coming into Eternals, I was really worried that they were going to have to rush everything because they're introducing, freaking 9 characters, and this is the first you're hearing of them, the first you're seeing them, and you have to become attached to them before the end of the movie. And unfortunately, they did a pretty good job, but it definitely would have benefited from another movie, or honestly, I think this would have been much better as a TV series because
Much like everything else.
the plot in this one, I mean, especially, that's true of a lot of comic book stuff, just because comics are written episodically, so it makes sense for, a TV show works because those are episodes. But especially with this movie, a large portion of the movie is let's get the gang back together sort of plot line. So sort of like Ocean's 11, where the first half of the movie is them going around getting everybody for their crew. They have the same sort of deal in this.
Was it Justice League was like that too, right?
And Justice League was like that as well.
Yeah.
Like, we got to get so and so, we got to get so and so, and it
It's
takes a lot of
horrible.
time. It takes a lot of time, and it's not conducive to developing attachment to these characters because you don't get to spend enough time with any one of them. So even though the characters were cool and there were some really awesome designs, the costumes look great, the movie is very well made. Overall, it felt a little like it was missing something, and what it was missing was a reason to care about so many of these characters. So normally when I watch an MCU movie, I come out of it and I'm like, you know what? Maybe this is the one that Jennifer will like, and I'll force her to watch it, and maybe this one will she'll like it. And I'm not even going to bother suggesting that you watch this one.
I have one question for you, Jeff.
What's that?
Just one. Was it funny?
No.
Oh, wow, really? It wasn't funny and you still don't think I'll like it? Well, I guess Justice League was not really funny either. Well, The Flash
No,
was
Justice
supposed to
League
be
tried.
funny.
Justice League tried.
Yeah, it did try.
So I think you may like this better than a lot of MCU movies that I like better because they are funny. But I just think like you're gonna have the same problem I do, which is that you don't care enough about any of these characters, and when they run into their big emotional moments, and this is a very dialogue heavy movie, it's not a super action packed movie. So in that respect, it does sound like something that you might like better, but I think that you're investing all this time in dialogue with characters that you haven't had enough time to grow attached to.
Yeah.
So I liked it. I When I first came out of it, I was a lot higher on it, and that happens to me a lot with MCU movies because they get you with the stinger scene, right? Like the post credits, and
Always.
they get me hyped for something in that post credit scene, and so I come out of the movie, I'm like, yes, that was great. I'm really excited. But having some time to marinate, I've thought about it, and I'm like, okay, so I originally gave it a 8 out of 10 coming out of the theater.
Okay.
Now I'm leaning more towards like a 7.5, maybe even a 7 out of 10.
Well, that's
So
not that big of a difference.
no, it's not bad, but like keep in mind that I love the MCU. So like
Yeah.
the worst MCU movie to me is a 6.
Oh,
So
wow.
6 out of 10.
Oh,
So
wow. Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this is very middle of the road for me.
Wow. Well, I was kind of interested in this one just because it did seem more like darker, kind of like Justice League. It was kind of giving you that, like you said, not as, I don't know, like saturated, like
Yeah,
bright,
exactly.
like,
It's not bright.
yeah. So I was interested in that, and the fact you said it's not funny. Also interested, but you're right. I hate the whole get the team together. It does take up so much time of a
It's literally
movie.
like it's almost 2/3 of the movie.
Oh, really? That's the
Yeah,
worst.
it's
Yeah.
so much.
No,
But
sorry, I wouldn't like it.
there's some really dark, tragic stuff in it, which I do think that you would probably enjoy. Which I know is kind of a weird thing to say, but I
Well,
do think you would enjoy that.
well, if you
Yeah,
don't
and
have
and
time
and
to get attached to the characters, then it's pretty. Oh my god, I don't even.
Darwin 22 Ducks says in the chat that was yes, that's what I was worried about, especially for people who don't read comics. Yeah, I mean that's the issue. If you haven't read these comics, and most people haven't for the Eternals, even among comic book fans, the Eternals are not among the must read comics for most people. Uh, you're going in blind. So like you don't have like it's not like when I went to see Iron Man the first time and I had been an Iron Man fan since I was a kid watching cartoons. You know, I was really excited for Iron Man. I was one of the only people in the world who was like super stoked for an Iron Man movie. And then it came out and it was great and everybody loved it and everybody fell in love with it. Uh, I don't think I see that happening with the Eternals. I don't think there'll probably be some kids who really love it, but I don't think most kids are going to be an Eternal for Halloween next year.
Did they set it up for a sequel or for some of those characters to join the Avengers or anything like that?
Yeah, the Eternals will be back,
Perfect.
is as well as one of the other characters in there who I actually am excited. It was in the Stinger scene that I was like, yes, it's happening. I'm excited for this.
Oh
So
God, that's how you're right. That's how they get you.
that's how they get me every time.
Terrible movie, but they show you just that little
It
something at
wasn't a
the
terrible
end.
movie. It was just not a great movie.
All
And
right.
and if I think it's not great, then that means the average person will probably think it's bad.
Yeah. I mean, I just every single time we talk about a movie, it was like, "Oh, you'll hate this." I'm like, "Well, now I want to know. Do I hate it?" And I want to watch it just to know how I feel about it. So I'm curious. I'll probably not watch it, but
Well, as it was alluded to by Darwin 22 Ducks in our chat, he says, "I will watch it when it's free." So yeah, you got Disney Plus. Just wait a few months.
yeah,
Eternals will be on Disney Plus. You can watch it then.
yeah, that's a good point. Good point. I like that.
But on an MCU note, I know you don't give the slightest crap about it, but the new trailer for Spider-Man: No Way Home came out, and my hype levels are high for
Oh
this movie.
no. Did they reveal if it's a whole Spider Verse thing yet?
Oh, it's definitely a multiverse thing.
Okay.
They
Like,
haven't revealed everything, but it's pretty obvious what that some of the surprises are not going to be that surprising.
well, Chase told me there's tons of leaks coming out all the
Yeah, I
time
haven't read any
about.
of the leaks. I've just watched the trailers, and in the trailer, like they show, Tom Holland Spider Man is leaping towards Lizard and Sandman and Doctor Octopus. I think it
Yeah.
was Doctor Octopus, and oh no, it was Electro. It was Electro. So there's three of them, and Tom Holland's jumping at them, and then they cut in the American trailer, but in the Brazilian trailer released by Sony Brazil, you see one of the other characters gets punched by an invisible thing. So it's like, okay, well, so yeah, there's definitely something that they're not showing us just yet.
I don't. I haven't seen any of the Tom Holland Spider Man, so I don't. I'm not. No feelings about this Spider Verse thing.
Those are actually ones I would recommend you watch. I mean, obviously they're funny, but like
He's supposed to be
Spider-Man's
funny.
supposed to be
Yeah,
funny,
he's supposed.
so
So that's totally fine. Yeah, I get it. So I'm so
you're gonna
upset.
hate MJ though.
Oh, really?
You're gonna straight up hate MJ
Well,
so
then
much.
why do I want to watch it? You can't say you want to watch this, but you'll really hate this character who's very important and in the movie like 80% of the time.
I love MJ in these movies, and that's why I think you'll hate MJ in these
Oh, God.
movies.
Well, now I gotta know.
She's not being hilarious. In fact, I might be way off base. You might really like MJ because she's just very, like not emo, but loner, I guess is a good way to describe it, which is very different from MJ in the
Yeah,
comics.
exactly.
So you might like the characterization, but you also might be frustrated by how different MJ is in this movie from the comics, and I mean like really different, like completely different personalities.
Is there like do you see a reason why? Do you like the style made more sense with the story or with this version of Spider-Man
I
or
appreciate it because it was something new, especially
mm,
with, like when you consider that like this is the third Spider-Man reboot in the last 15 years, right?
yeah.
Is that about right? So yeah, like we don't need to do the exact same thing every time. And honestly, if you made MJ in the MCU the exact same as MJ in the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans, then it's like, what's the point? I'll just go back and rewatch the Sam Raimis. But I think it's a lot of fun. I'd give them a shot, and they're also kind of good in a way that I don't think you need to have seen all of the MCU to appreciate the Spider-Man movies. You did
Yeah,
see
we'll see.
Endgame, though, right?
Nope.
You should probably see that one.
Yeah, I know. That's why. But if you watch Endgame, you have to watch the 20 movies before that to really appreciate the meaning behind Endgame. And I I have tried so many times to watch the MCU,
Yeah,
and
we've all suffered through things we don't enjoy. I didn't love going to school in high school, but I did it and I survived, and now I'm on the other side, and I appreciate college because of how much I didn't like high school.
well, what will I appreciate if I don't like
So
any
I'm
of
saying,
it?
so like you suffered through the high school years. That's the stuff leading up to it. But maybe you'll appreciate the Infinity War Endgame just out of perseverance.
But that's also like 50 hours of my life to watch all these movies. So, and I've been burned. I know everybody fucking loves Guardians Galaxy, and it is makes me angry how much I hate that movie. I'm just angry. It's the worst. James Gunn can blow me.
You didn't even like Slither. We talked about that, right?
Yeah, James Gunn just has a problem doing the fake death. He loves the fake death. And it's one of the things that makes me the most upset out of anything in terms of like storytelling is that pull on your heartstrings, make you go, oh no. And they're like, ah, just kidding. You're like, oh, good.
You're kind of like me in that sometimes you want them to make you feel sad, and then you still feel sad
Yeah, what's the
at the end of it.
point?
What's the point of making me have that emotion if you're just going to immediately
Yeah,
say,
it's
oh no, stop crying, it's okay.
ha, got you. I hate. Fuck off. I hate that.
I'm one of those people who's like, Toy Story 3 would have been a lot better if it had ended with the toys going into the furnace. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh man, that would have been so fucked up.
That's what happens to your toys, kids. When you throw them out, that's what happens.
I don't have any childhood toys. I wonder what happened to all those. Guess
Furnace.
they're in the furnace. All right. So you gave it a 7.5 or
Yeah, I
7?
think that's. I'm gonna stick with 7.5.
All right.
But
Well,
thank you for letting me rant on Eternals for a little while, Jen. So
that's what
I
I'm
think
here for. You just
if
tell
you
me.
ask me, we should hear some things that Jen watched this week.
Oh, well, all of my things that I'm here to talk about this week are follow ups from the last show. So, the first thing that we will finish talking about, Jeff went and saw Last Night in Soho, and you gave it an 8, I believe. And we were talking how I really like the director because he did Baby Driver and Hot Fuzz, two movies that I really, really enjoy. I definitely like the darker mystery. I like it's very stylized. Jeff was telling me all the cool camera tricks and the syncing of the walking and the characters and stuff. It's has like a period piece to it, so the costumes, really interesting. Um, but it was really horrible. It was really one of the worst movies I've ever seen. It was so terrible. Like, it was really awful. It's like the concept was so cool, right? So you're starting off the movie and you're like, all right, I can see. I mean, it was so cheesy though. Like some of the dialogue, which is some of the worst dialogue I've ever heard when they're talking. Uh, I don't. There's some triggers in this movie, so I don't necessarily want to go into deep on that. But there is just some dialogue that you're just like, nobody would. That's so classic, cheesy. Like whenever she's saying, "Oh, whatever happened to her mom," and they're like, "You're so brave," and it's just like, wait, and they're all, "Oh my god, you're so brave!" Like, I don't know. And then they do a throwback to it at the end of the movie. So if it wasn't cheesy enough the first time, then they say it again at the end of the movie, and just like the CGI was not very good at all. Some of the acting just wasn't that great either.
Really, you didn't like Anya Taylor-Joy or Thomasin McKenzie? I thought the leads were really solid. Like the boyfriend, I can see.
Oh my god! Yes,
issues with that.
the boyfriend.
That, I mean, that's honestly that's the most of the points I took off were for the love story. I believe I even said that.
But even Matt Smith, I don't even think he did a great job. I just, for all this star-studded cast and, you know, the director, and I really just,
I hyped it up too much for you.
Well, okay, so the other thing, okay, I'm just gonna have to say, so when they start seeing the men and it's all the horror scene, and at first you're like, oh wow, that's pretty shocking. Okay, I can see that's pretty scary. But then they use it over, like, so they overly use it like the whole rest of the movie. So then it's not even scary anymore. You're just, it becomes like weird and overused. And then at the end, when she's like, we're just gonna have to talk spoilers, cover your ears if you don't want to see it or hear it. Whenever they're all like, okay, first of all, the woman that was really the murderer chick, you know, Anya Taylor-Joy's whatever, grown up, she never had to tell what's her face that she was the killer. She's like, hey, I'm moving out, I'm leaving. All right, bitch, peace out. But she had to sit her down and be like, oh, I'm really the murderer, and now I have to kill you because you know. Well, if you wouldn't have fucking said anything, nobody would have known. So
I think she thought that she had figured it out already, and she kind of had.
Only because she saw her name on that letter, you know, and she wouldn't have seen it otherwise. And then, whenever she's fucking, god damn it, I was gonna say something and then you made me forget because I got interrupted. Right. No, it's okay.
Yeah, do you want me to try to say words to trigger the thought again?
No, I don't. It was terrible. There was a lot of stuff, I think, that just... Oh, yeah. So she killed all these men, right? And then they very briefly show, you know, what she's doing with the bodies. Like, what is she doing with the bodies? There was, like, hundreds of men. And what...
Well, they alluded to it at the beginning of the movie.
What do you mean?
She said, make sure to keep the windows open because the drains smell.
Well, yeah, okay,
it's because they were buried. They were in the floorboards.
But dead bodies smell way worse than like some smelly pipes, and
when
especially
they're fresh
with the number. But did she just put them like under the floorboards of the whole house? That's
what it sounds like.
Yeah, I don't know. I just.
I don't know about the logistics of mass murder. It's not something I'm too familiar with. So maybe putting them in the floorboards is not feasible. I don't know.
I don't know. I just thought, and then the fashion show at the end, even the dresses were trash. You know, and everybody's talking about she's so amazing. What a great designer. She designed 3 dresses that were all the same silhouette, just made of different material, and they weren't even that cute of a dress. So.
Damn.
I'm just saying.
But what about the flashback dresses? Those were good, right?
Yeah, I liked the flashback stuff. Like I said, I enjoyed the first half. They really made me interested. I was like following this whole mystery. I loved the flashbacks. I love how it goes from being like a happy, cool thing like a really messed up, like depressing thing, trying to solve it. But they really just lost me like on the last like third of the movie, just with and that boyfriend acting was so terrible. And then just I don't know. It was really I didn't like it at
I mean
all.
that happens. So, Jen, what do you think you'd give it as a score? I gave it 8 out of 10, and you say it's among the worst movies you've ever seen.
Well, I didn't say I said the first two thirds were pretty good. Like they
Right.
had me interested. I was very curious, and then they totally just ruined it. But I did give it a 3. Gave
A
it a 3.
3.
I gave it a 3 because it did have me at the beginning of the movie. I was curious. It had me invested, and then
Are you the kind of person that, like, even if a movie is very well made, if they've done something that you really hate, they lose the points they even got for being a well constructed movie?
yeah, because I look at it as like the overall vision. It's like, yes, you did this right, but you knew you were leading up to this thing that you did horribly wrong. So it's like if you couldn't
You
see
don't, so yeah, so they don't
that.
get credit for, like, they don't get credit for the cool cinematography at the beginning because the payoff for all that was so bad.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm asking your thought
yeah,
process. I'm not
no,
criticizing your
no, no,
thought
no, no,
process.
no. No, yes, it was maybe if you only want to watch it for the cinematography, only watch the first two thirds of the movie and then don't bother because it gets ruined with the CGI when there's the whole stairs and it's like, going in and out of focus and that was terrible graphics. It was just,
Well, okay.
yeah,
I'm
I
sorry,
gave
Jen.
it.
I wasted your time.
No, but I wouldn't have known. It was something that I definitely, something that was totally up my alley for sure. And I was super interested in for most of it. And then it tanked really,
Just
really
didn't have the
hard.
payoff for you.
It tanked really hard. So I don't know.
Well, now I'm not sure if I'm ready to hear about this next thing you wanted to talk about today.
Oh, yes. So we are going to follow up with another topic that we talked about last time. I finished Ted Lasso. Before, I had only just watched a couple episodes. I had just started it. And what did I say? I said it was pretty good. I said I liked
Yeah, you
it.
said you were enjoying it,
I
and
was
like
enjoying it.
you didn't think it was going to be like your favorite of all time, but it was a good, relaxing, low commitment mentally show.
I agree with all those things that I said before. And now that
You're a
I've
smart lady.
finished it, I really liked it. I thought it was great. All of the acting is wonderful. I would not say there is like a weak character. They really give you a good villain there at the end.
They sure do.
Yeah. Oh my, they did a really good job, really making you hate one of the characters. They do a really good job of making you feel something for everybody. Like Rebecca with her, father and her husband and relationship and everything. You really feel her with Roy and Keeley.
Hmm.
I'm really invested in their relationship. I think they're adorable. I love that dynamic. It's a little familiar, I think, but maybe I'm a little biased. But I love their characters. I love the actors. They work, I feel like all the chemistry of all of the actors and the characters work really, really well together. Um, though I will say the worst episode
Oh no.
the worst episode of the whole show, and
Oh
it was
no.
was horrible. Was the Coach Beard episode?
No.
It was so terrible.
I love the Coach Beard episode.
No, it just made him seem like just a fucking dumbass. He seems like so cool and put together and just like chill, like a rational human being. And then would have been awesome? The Beard episode? What? First time chat? Really? First
Yeah.
time chatter? And that's what you're gonna say to me?
No.
Get out of here.
Welcome
Get.
to the chat, hero.
Yeah.
Welcome to the chat.
Oh my gosh. No, it was so terrible. You know what would have been fucking awesome? Instead of giving us this whole episode about Coach Beard in these pants, it would have been so cool if just one episode he just shows up wearing these pants and you're like, Coach Beard, where'd you get those crazy pants? Well, that's a long story. Like, that would have been more interesting than
Then actually
actually
seeing the
seeing
pants.
the pants, like where those came from. And then I just hated
I
it.
love the Beard episode. I think because he seems so rational and level headed and absolutely chill all the time. I kind of like seeing a character like that. That like we all have some messed up days. We all have some really hectic moments in our lives. Even the most chill, rational, level headed person sometimes finds themselves in an outrageous situation. And, so I kind of appreciate it for that. And plus, I just thought it was fun, like a day in the life of Beard. Because
But that's
he's the kind of
not.
guy who does, who has, he does cool stuff. Like, he goes out and, hangs out with some of the fans, and they do some really cool stuff and so that felt very like that. I love that. There was a good heartfelt moment between the emotionally distant Beard and these other people that you don't get to see in the rest of the series. I love the Beard episode. But Gallinale says Christmas episode bad, Beard episode good. What did you think of the Christmas episode?
It was the second worst episode. I really did not enjoy that either. They could have totally left that out of the whole show, and I would have been perfectly fine with it.
I think the Christmas episode might have been the weakest of the season for me,
Yeah.
but I also still enjoy it because, like, I don't know, it's cheesy. It's like so cheesy,
It's so cheesy.
but uh, once you get into that Christmas mindset, like the problem is it came out and it's not Christmas. But I think if you go back and watch that episode around Christmas time when you're watching all sorts of Christmas specials, and that cheesiness is just so pervasive that when you watch it, you'll be like, yeah, no, this is that good Christmas shit.
I don't like Christmas shit. Get Christmas shit away from me. The only thing, it was cute, the
You
ending
could
where all the players go to, what's his, Leslie or whatever his name is, go to his house. Like, that was cute, but I don't need cute stuff in my life.
I believe that Gallinelle. He says, I read that it was added because they ordered more episodes than were written. That totally makes sense, and that's a when for non-streaming shows that are released like on television. That's a very common thing. They can count on a Christmas episode. They can count on a Thanksgiving episode, a Halloween episode. Those are the episodes where they don't have to work that hard to come up with plot lines because it's like, okay, let's do a Christmas episode, and it's just a Christmas episode. It's like every other Christmas episode in every show ever. So that's exactly how they delivered on it in this show, but it didn't come out at Christmas time, so it's out of place. And I don't know. I think I still enjoyed it, but yeah, it's definitely the weakest of the season for me. You could have replaced almost every line of dialogue in that with a Tiny Tim line from A Christmas Carol. That's you know what I mean? Like, God bless us, everyone.
Yeah, I guess that was a little too stereotypical of what you would expect from a happy, feel good like show like that. I don't know. Christmas
It
doesn't
was
make me feel good, so
it was too feel good for even Ted Lasso.
yeah. See, but the Beard episode, I don't know. I don't know. I didn't need it. I didn't like it.
What did you think about one of the things that I had been kind of alluding to that I thought you would appreciate is a lot of the focus of the show being on mental illness and mental well being. Uh, did that sort of stuff resonate? Because that's one of the things that I really loved about it was tackling those things in a very respectful and poignant way. What did you think about that?
Yeah, I do. I do like that it makes sense. I think especially in the context of the show, it makes a lot of sense because they do have these like team psychiatrists and when they're dealing with, every player, obviously, I think everybody should go to therapy. So I really appreciate they really put that forward in the show. But you're right, it's not like in a disrespectful way. It's not like in an overwhelming way. They do a really good job just kind of writing it into the episodes and making it seem like a genuine part of the club and not just kind of, it's not like an afterthought. It's not like oh, we should include this because that's, the cool thing to do. It actually is a very big part of the show. And like I said, I feel like they incorporate it really well with all the characters, and she's a great character in and of herself. And you definitely bring
The
out,
psychiatrist,
yeah, you bring out some
fantastic.
more of Ted Lasso's like personality and everything. So yeah, I think they did a really good job with it. I think it's a really like important message, and they did a really good job with it, and definitely making it seem like, you know, it's something everybody struggles with, because I feel like all the characters in the show are dealing with something, but they're very, the show is just really well written about all these different emotional issues that come up in everyday lives. That's why I like it, because it is a very, yes, it's happy and positive, but it's also a very real like show to me. All the characters are like very real people.
Well, I'm glad you liked Ted Lasso
I
because
did.
we were talking earlier, like what our favorite, comedy TV shows are. Ted Lasso so far for me is a 10 out of 10 series, but
Oh,
I'm not going to call it my favorite of all time yet because it's still so new.
yeah.
Like it's 2 seasons. Like there's a lot of shows that were really great for 2 seasons and then completely shat the bed. You know, going forward. So we'll see. But right now, I'm really high on Ted Lasso. Absolutely love that show.
So there's two seasons. Do you know how long, like season one ended and then season two started?
It was about a year between.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long has season two? Like when do you, have they said anything about season three coming out?
I mean, they're doing a season 3. They've in fact the character the guy who plays Nate uh, received a lot of interesting tweets after the last
Oh,
episode, and
yeah.
he kind of had to remind people, no, I'm an actual person. I'm not just a character.
Yeah.
And then he said, you guys are gonna really you really are gonna look forward to what we're gonna do in season 3,
Oh no, that means they're gonna make him not a villain. Uh,
or do they like double down, be like, no, like some people are just bad people.
you know, I'm really curious with that, because I don't know that Ted Lasso, the show, would do that. It seems like
I think they are going to redeem him, but I don't
everybody's
know.
been redeemed. So that's my one complaint, is that it is almost that like it's too good to be true. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
I don't necessarily think that I'm not positive they will redeem him in season 3. Like but maybe they do. But like, there are characters that haven't been redeemed yet. Rupert has
which one's Rupert? Oh, her
Rebecca's
husband.
ex
Yeah.
husband.
Well, I don't know if you
Well,
can redeem that.
and I don't know. Yeah, so I mean, the point is, I'm curious to see where it goes because you know it it is riding that line of, like you're saying, of being too good to be true. And I am generally an optimist, and that's one of the reasons I love the show so much, is because it does have a very optimistic outlook on people. And so I don't know that I would hate it if he gets redeemed, uh, but I can see why realists like yourself would you know not want them to necessarily do that unless it's done in a really genuine way. And that's going to be that line that they're riding the entire time going forward.
It's he's going to be redeemed, but I do believe they will do it in some sort of genuine way. They're very clever. They're great writers. I don't know who this team is, but they're doing a great job. Somebody who doesn't really like shows like Ted Lasso at all, I think it's great. It's really wonderful. The writing and the characters and the acting are all just really great.
So, if someone were to ask you, Jen, what would be your rating for Ted Lasso now that you have finished seasons 1 and 2?
Oh,
That's
okay.
a
So
good call out.
yes,
Go ahead
that's
and
it.
read that, Jen.
Yeah. Gallinale says it's like the exact opposite of Barry in its themes of redemption. I fucking
Yes,
love Barry
I
though.
also love Barry. I
Barry
also love
is
Barry.
so good.
But yeah,
What?
you're not wrong. That's a really good point.
Yeah, Barry is great. Um, all right, I'm gonna. You might be surprised by this one. If you ask me, I'm really going, I feel like, outside of my normal, comfort zone. And I'm gonna give Ted Lasso a 9. I
Wow.
know, I know.
This you got, I hope your longtime fans, people who've been watching you do stuff for a long time and have followed your opinions for years at this point, Jen. I hope they watch this episode because this is like the first time ever that you've liked
Everything.
most things we talked about.
I haven't seen Eternals, but everything that I did see,
Yeah, everything that
I
you did see
mean,
except for Last Night in Soho, which you
oh
absolutely
yeah,
hated.
no, that's
But
true.
but
I
I'm saying
forgot about that already.
you liked most things,
I
and I think
did.
that's not something we get to say every time.
I know. And who would have thought? Would you have really thought I would like Ted Lasso?
I mean, I think after our conversation, 2 weeks ago, I was like, I think there's a real chance, especially with the themes that they dealt with in season two, that I thought you that would actually really resonate with you,
Oh,
and so I did think that you might really like it. I thought you were going to love the beard episode, and you hated it.
oh, really? You thought I was
I
gonna
did.
like it?
I thought you were going
Oh,
to really love the beard episode,
oh
but
no. I
so
just,
I just think I love that we've been friends for over a decade at this point, and I still have no idea how you're going to think about anything.
always keeping you on your toes. Lots of
For sure.
surprises. Now I'm gonna watch Eternals, and we're gonna see about that. I don't
Yep.
know.
I'm.
I don't know if
You're
I'll
either
watch
gonna.
it
I mean, maybe someday, but when you do,
when it's free. When it's
you're
free.
either gonna love it or you're gonna hate it. I do not feel like you will feel in the middle on it at all.
Okay, I know it's about time to leave, but just curious, real quick. I don't think we talked. Did we talk about the Snyder Cut? I think we were gonna do that on the Pop XP, but we never ended up talking about it.
No, we did not talk about the Snyder Cut.
Did you like it?
I did. Well, I liked it. Certainly liked it better than Justice League.
I never saw it, so
So, uh, Justice League, the original one, was a mess. Like we talked about, it's like the whole assemble the team thing, and also with the reshoots with Joss Whedon came in and did reshoots on it and changed again. He changed the lighting and saturation and all that stuff, and it did not work for what they had done so far in the DCEU. And so then the Snyder Cut comes out, and it is long. That is it
yeah.
is it is way too long, and I can see why they told him they were like, no, it can't be this long. But honestly, I think if they had just released it as a miniseries, because that's how it's set up, they set it up into those chunks that each have their own you know title. If they had released it in as a miniseries with each of those being an episode, I think it would have been a fantastic miniseries. But as a movie, it was way too long.
Did you watch it in one sitting?
I did, yeah.
Mm.
I wish I had broken it up,
Yeah.
but it was great, and they did flesh out characters that had been rushed through in the original cut. A little disappointed with the treatment of the Flash, because the Flash is my favorite DC hero, and they made Barry Allen into a total dork.
Yeah. It was unfortunate. I
What
was
did you
just curious.
think?
I mean, I hated it, but I don't remember specifically. I remember they overused the Wonder Woman theme song like every fucking 5 seconds in the beginning, where she's like crawling on her knees, dodging all these bullets, and then like the guy is just going in this straight line to kill all these children, and she's just like, what do you call it? Duck walking. I do that at the gym, the duck walk. So she's like doing that really, really fast while blocking all these bullets, and it's just ridiculous. I don't know. I hated
I kind of
it.
liked that scene up until Wonder Woman straight up murders someone with like she kills that man with an explosive.
I'm okay with
It just seemed a little in front of school children, Jen.
it. I'm okay with it. Don't get over
uh,
it.
but yeah, I'm not surprised you didn't like it. If you didn't like the Snyder Cut, I'm pretty confident you would hate Justice League even more.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. Yeah, I never watched the Justice League, but Snyder Cut was enough for me. I'm not. But I hate the team up. The fact that the most of the movie was getting everybody together. Just
That's why that like honestly the MCU is that's going to be the example going forward for me for the rest of time for how to set up a team movie, because like it's not like in Ocean's 11. I referenced this earlier. They get the team together, but they don't actually want you to care about most of those characters emotionally in Ocean's 11. They just want you to either find them humorous or find the things they do cool. You don't have to develop a personality for them. But in Justice League, in Eternals, like they want you to care about these characters, and they have not been given enough time to make you do that. So they really do need to either make it a TV show so that they have time to like each episode building the team. That could work. It would still take a long time, but at least every character would be given the opportunity to shine. Or you have to do movies setting up like they did for the Avengers. like where everybody had their own movie, so that coming into Avengers, they don't have to do any setup for those characters in that movie because you already love them from the previous ones.
But
Or in Jen's case, you tolerate them.
if you gave each of those characters their own movie and then put the team up movie, that'd be like 6 more Marvel movies. There's already too many. We don't need 6 more.
I mean, at this point, they might as well make separate movies for all of them because, like, screw it, I'll see them.
I feel like that's what most people will say. That's how they're.
A lot of the MCU fans are like, yeah, you know what? I've seen them all so far. So until they truly make an absolutely egregious movie, because I think that's the biggest complaint that most people who don't love the MCU have is that they're not great, they're not bad, they're middling for a lot of people, and being middling is almost as bad as being actually terrible for a lot of people. So but for me, as long as I don't hate it, I'm going to keep going to see the MCU.
I don't think Black Widow could have been any worse. I'm still upset about that one.
Towards the bottom of my list as well.
Yeah, I'm still upset about it.
I still had fun.
Okay. I was angry. Okay. Okay, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Thanks, Jen.
You know.
Well, okay, so that's our show for this week, isn't it?
That's all the topics. That's it. That's everything.
So, thank you all for joining us for this episode of If You Ask Me. As always, we're going to conclude with reminding you to please follow and subscribe to Jennifer Van Damsel on Twitch and Twitter and YouTube and all over the frickin' internet.
The whole internet.
She's everywhere. Get used to it. And if you're interested in me, you can follow me at Good Game Grizz on Twitter and Twitch and all over the internet.
All over the internet.
But Jen, do you have anything in particular you want to plug going forward here?
No. The only thing is I did do those polls, or not the poll, but I did do the shoot prompt on Twitter a couple of days ago, and I did the photo shoot inspired by, what do we use? Pulp, Green, Hero, 1920s, Mind Flayer. Those were the big 5.
Mind Flayer.
So those were the big 5 inspirational words, and I did a whole photo shoot. I am currently editing one of the photo. I actually had like a vision of what I wanted it to look like, so I am actually creating a whole vision in this picture, and I don't know what I'm doing. So I spent all day working on it yesterday, and I'm gonna go work on it tonight and probably work on it tomorrow, but it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be awesome. You're really gonna like it. So
be sure to follow on Twitter for
follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and you will see it very soon. Hopefully I finish it in time. But yeah, nothing really to go. I will be releasing something on OnlyFans sometime this weekend, but I don't know what because I haven't shot anything recently, so it'll be a surprise. But
what I will say is, on Jen's behalf, because I know she's already said it 1,000 times, but I would also like to thank everyone who purchased something from Jen's store when she had her big grand opening sale. So if you purchased something, thank you for doing that and supporting Jennifer. She does really great work, and I think you guys all know that, but it bears repeating.
Thanks, Jeffrey. And yes, thank you so much to everybody. Oh, yeah, maybe that's okay. So if you have ordered something from the store, I'm waiting for the paper to come in, but I already have the ink, the shirts, the stickers, the mini prints. I'm waiting for the paper to start printing everybody's prints, and as soon as that comes in, we are good to go. So we're still aiming first week of December to have everything mailed out, but supplies are here, almost here, so we'll get started on doing all of that hopefully next week. So yeah, that's it. That's all.
Well, cool. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Bye, guys. See you. So this show is not every Wednesday. It's every other Wednesday. So we won't see you next week, but we will see you 2 weeks from now, Wednesday, 7:30 Central. We don't know what we're going to be talking about yet. We'll see. I'm gonna try to post.
Tune into Jennifer's Twitter, and we'll hopefully have some updates on what we're talking about.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try to get updates faster. I did not do that this week, so I suck. All right, okay, bye guys. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. Okay, bye.